A man dressed as a clown snatched a toddler from my sister's arms. Posted by user C.S.R. So, title says it all. Here's what happened. We were on a family holiday abroad years ago. I think I was 14 at the time. My sister's 16 at the time, and the toddler was our cousin. She was about maybe 2 years old, maybe a bit older. So, we headed out during the evening to have dinner, and just after that, we'll walk through the towns and maybe stop at a few bars for drinks. As we were walking through this town, a man who was, I'll say, badly dressed as a clown approached my sister. Bear in mind, my sister is afraid of clowns, no matter how good or badly dressed they are. She was carrying our cousin on her hip, and the clown looked at our cousin and said hello to her, making her laugh as clowns do. My sister, on the other hand, just froze. I was standing by watching this happening, kind of laughing at the fact that my sister was crapping herself. Oh, I was a savage sister. And next thing, without asking or anything, he takes my cousin from my sister. And then, of course, I thought, whoa, hey! I shouted over to my parents and my aunt and uncle. My dad comes over and says, "Hey, what do you think you're doing with my niece?" As he was trying to get her back out of his arms. But when he tried to get her, the clown would just turn away or push my dad back. The clown says, "I thought you would like to take a photo. Do you not want to take a photo?" My aunt comes over, but scared out of her mind, thinking the clown's trying to kidnap her daughter. We all just gather around the clown, trying to pry my cousin from this clown's arms, but every time, he just kept pulling away or pushing us back. Then, next thing, my dad had had enough. He approached the clown and said, "Let go of my niece right now," grabbing him by the neck. In the end, he puts her down, and my dad picks her up and hands her to his sister-in-law. Then, the guy just casually says, "Oh, okay, too bad you don't want to take a photo," and hands my cousin a lollipop. We just headed back to the hotel and kinda thought nothing of it. But the next day, we saw him again as we were at a restaurant this time. He took someone else's kid away from their parents into some room. My dad spotted him as he came out of the toilets and stopped him, thinking he grabbed my cousin again, but it was someone else. But he headed back to the table and ate his dinner. But then, for a second, he felt something wasn't right, so he went back to the clown's room. I didn't know what went down when he went back, but he came back out holding this other kid's hand and asked her where her parents were, assuming they were in the same restaurant. But no, they weren't. They were at some other place. My dad took the kid back to her parents and said, "Don't let that clown anywhere near your kids," and told them what he tried to do with my cousin. Oh, I was kind of freaked out, thinking this clown was probably a pedophile.
Creepy Clown Encounter. Posted by user Lopsided Squid to r/let's not meet. I don't know if many of you remember this, but back in 2016, there was a creepy clown trend, where people dressed as creepy killer clowns would hang out in places after dark or stalk people. My story takes place on my college campus during the fall of that year. I lived with my grandparents before leaving for school, and I am extremely close to them. Also, I am very shy and had zero friends or people I regularly hang out with at school. I wanted to reach out and meet new folks, so I signed up for a salsa dancing club that met on Friday nights. I told my grandma over the phone, and she was happy I was putting myself out there. She asked if I was going with anybody. "No," I told her. "I'm just gonna go by myself."
"Are you sure?"
she asked.
"Don't any of your roommates want to go?"
The idea of talking to my roommates terrified me. I could handle structured gatherings, but personal conversations left more room for my awkwardness to creep in. "No, they're not here."
"I don't want you walking around campus by yourself at night."
I thought my grandma was just being overprotective. "Grandma, it's fine. The streets are well lit, and it's only a 10-minute walk. It's perfectly safe."
"Well, if you're not going with anybody, call me and let me talk to you on the phone as you walk back."
I agreed. That evening was incredibly fun, learning the basic steps and dancing to upbeat Latin tunes. At around 10:30, I felt ready to head back to my dorm, so I snuck out of the building and headed toward my dorm. Although the paved path I was walking on was lit by streetlights, it seemed darker than usual. In addition, the entire campus was deserted. Normally, there were quite a few kids my age wandering around, but that night, there was not a soul to be seen. I dialed up my grandma and made small talk of her as I walked. I took my heels off and carried them in my free hand. Now, the path I was walking on went past a stretch of sidewalk that was perpendicular to the one I was taking. Under one of the streetlights, about 10 meters away, I noticed a lone figure standing with its back toward me. The figure, hearing me chatting on the phone, slowly turned toward me. He was tall and heavy-set, with wild red hair, and appeared to be wearing light blue pajamas. His face was obscured by a killer clown mask. The mask was stark white, with dark black eye sockets and a twisted, malicious grin. Time seemed to suddenly slow way down. The clown did not move toward me. He simply stood there, staring. I knew I had to think fast. I contemplated my options. I could, A, scream like a little girl and run, B, approach him and confront him, or C, pretend he didn't scare me. The entire moment I just described couldn't have lasted more than a second, but in that moment, it felt like eternity.
Are you there?
I heard my grandma say. Remembering to breathe, the phone still at my ear, I decided to go with plan C. I broke eye contact with the clown.
So, anyway,
I said loudly enough that the clown would hear me.
yeah, I'm on my way.
I continued.
Honey, what's going on? Is everything okay?
I heard my grandma ask. Her voice was suddenly filled with anxiety. As confidently and nonchalantly as I could, I walked past the sidewalk where the clown was standing, continuing to chat. His head slowly turned as I walked past, watching me until I was out of sight. I ducked into the archway of the nearest building and tried the door, praying it was unlocked. It was. Once I was inside, I slumped against one of the concrete walls and broke down into tears. I explained to my grandma what had just happened. My grandma yelled for my grandpa to dial the campus police on a cell phone so that I could stay on the line with her. I got up and started pacing up and down the empty halls, checking every door and window to see if that psycho clown had followed me. Was he just a stupid kid doing this on a dare? Or was he someone of far more evil intentions? Some of the creepy clowns in the news had axes or baseball bats. I had no idea if mine was armed. When my grandpa tried to explain to the officer on the phone what happened and that I needed help, he told my grandpa,
"Your granddaughter needs to make the call herself."
Apparently, the reason I had talked to them was so that they could be sure this call wasn't just a prank or some stupid reason like that. The point is, they wouldn't take my grandparents' word that I was in distress. I would have to hang up with my grandma and dial the campus police myself. Not knowing if I would survive the night, I told my grandma between sobs.
I love you.
I love you too.
My grandma was also crying. I dialed campus police and told them who I was and what had happened. The officer on the phone sent several other officers to find me while I stayed on the phone with him and gave him a description of the clown. As I was talking, I heard the door open. I froze. Was the clown here? Did he find a way in? A tidal wave of relief washed over me as several officers came striding down the corridor. They walked with me back to my dorm. As soon as I was inside, I locked my door and window and I shut the blinds. I called my grandma back to tell her I was safe. After talking for a little while longer, we said goodnight. Since then, I've made a few friends at school. While I'm in a better place now, I don't go out alone after dark anymore. And as for that creepy clown, let's not meet again. Thank you all for watching. If you want to find the original stories or the voice actors that read them, the links are in the description down below. If you like this sort of content, we will be posting Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays. All of this is being done for free and by a small independent team, so be sure to show some love. I hope you all stay creepy, stay safe, and have a gay day.